We're hot. Mics are hot.
AOD, can you do something for me? Talk to the Jimmy haters for me. AOD, hit me guap, hit me guap, hit me guap. Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host over there.
What's up? It's D. How's everything going?
It's going good, man. Feeling great off that win. I cut my hair today. I don't know if the audio listeners obviously can't see, but I cut it myself. I like to say in this economy, you really gotta save your dollars where you can. And I
You're
always
just
say,
lazy,
I'll cut.
bro. You're just lazy. Shut
no,
up.
no. These barbers have. You want to talk about Amazon? These barbers have a monopoly on the hair game. They're charging whatever they want. It's getting ridiculous, man. And I
I
just
don't
stick to
know.
my motto: cut it myself, and don't let people stand behind me, so they can't see what I fucked up in the back. But how you feeling today?
Man, things are going well. The 49ers are rolling. Like, I hate to be that guy, but I told you so. I told you so. I told you that the 49ers were going to go on a win streak. I told you that everything was looking, nicely, despite where they were a few weeks back, where we were like, hey, this is teetering. I felt pretty good about the schedule. I felt pretty good about Kyle Shanahan. I felt good about the Christian McCaffrey trade. I told you so. So, I just hate to go ahead and throw that out there. And Jimmy Garoppolo is playing, lights out. He's better than Joe Montana. He's better than Steve Young. He is the new face of the franchise, even though he's been the face of the franchise. Let's go. But yeah, no,
we'll get to that Himmy Guap talk later, that Jimmy Garoppolo. But we have been gone for a week. Thanksgiving break was good. We were eating healthy. Maybe not healthy, but
I ate like shit.
eating a lot. Yeah, those plates. I had heartburn so bad, like the whole 2 days after, and I'm still recovering. But we had some good cocktails flowing. What was it, the Tennessee honey whiskey with the lemonade?
Yep,
That's
a staple
perfection.
now.
That was perfection. That's in the rotation. I'm sorry, to my mule fans, which is my go-to, but switching it up now. But we're back. Since we've been gone, 2 games have happened for the 49ers. What happened?
Yeah, so they went to Mexico City. They starched the Cardinals. It looked amazing. George Kittle had a typical George Kittle night, like a classic George Kittle night, where he just lives up to the hype. He hypes up the crowd. He had 2 tugs. Ayuk had 2 tugs. It was crazy. It was a complete, like, everything I felt about the Cardinals going into this game was because I've been watching Hard Knocks a lot. I actually did not watch this recent episode. I got to get on that. But I was actually liking where the Cardinals are headed. I'm like, hey, this is a scrappy team. I don't really believe in the coach. I don't really believe in Kyler, but they have a lot of like veteran leadership around that team to where it's like maybe they could pull something together. Or if not, it's going to be a complete car crash. I'm excited to see where it goes. And it was a car crash. So that happened. Then they played the Saints. It was a shutout for the defense. Hufanga, dude, can we just give it up to him? Like, he's most improved. Like, this is like a crazy from year 1 to year 2, like, transformation that we're actually witnessing, but they liked him all along. I was a little bit hesitant. I'm stunned. Like, he's been so amazing. He has been just lights out for this team. Big props to Kyle. Big props to John Lynch and finding this guy and really like trusting in him because it's worked out in their favor.
Yeah, the Cardinals game was insane. We knew that. We were saying in the pod, like, leading up, like, George Kittle, this is a game where we want to see him go off, like the bright lights, Mexico City, him with the luchador mask, like everything. And it was everything we could have hoped for. Cardinals, as Kyler would say, they're schematically fucked. They're done for the year. They're stuck with him and Cliff for a while. Rams are basically done now. Seattle had a tough game against Vegas. They could have won that game. It was a close one, but now that we've won these games, we're on the 4-game win streak. We're looking good. how is our playoff picture shaping out, and like, can we keep the streak alive this week?
Very much, yes. Like again, I don't feel any type of way about the schedule moving forward. I think that this is a very winnable schedule. And even if we don't, we still have that game against the Seahawks. And we're already one up on them. So even if we go into that with tied records, we already have that, that little bit of an edge. And I think we'll win the division. I feel good about it. I think that some of these playoff teams are going to start to knock each other off, and we're going to see a decline in performance. I think obviously we talked about the Giants. They're going to start to fall off. I think now I think we've seen Green Bay is done. Like they're out of the playoff picture. I don't know how long Jordan Love is going to be playing, but he actually looked pretty good, which is something we might want to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I feel really good about this team, where they're going. You know what? We're gearing up to watch the 49ers on Christmas Eve, and that's looking like it's going to be a more important game as we get closer and closer to it against the Commanders. I'm actually really pumped about that. I think they're a scrappy team, and they're a team that they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives, and I'm excited to be in the building to watch that.
Yeah, as of right now, I think in the playoff picture, every NFC East team is in it, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. And the Commanders game actually looks like it might be the most important game other than the Seattle game on our schedule. Like just in case, we lose a couple here, Seattle wins, keeps on winning, and we have to beat this team to make the wild card. Like that might end up being the most important. And you look at the Bucks, they struggled. They couldn't win their game. Who did they just play?
They played the Browns.
They played the Browns with Jacoby. Like they should have won that game easily. There was clock mismanagement. You look at the rest of the NFC East. I mean, if you look at the rest of the NFC, I don't think there's a team that really is dominant or scares me. Like the 49ers are so physical. And when we are beating these teams, like we're punching them in the mouth and we're doing so aggressively. And these other teams like the Eagles, I don't know, there's something about them where when I watch them, they just don't look like they are that like 11, 12 win team. Or even the Giants, like they just don't have the quarterback. The Vikings, they fall apart in prime time. So all these other teams, I'm just like, none of them scare me. And this is a perfect opportunity for the 49ers to make a deep run.
Yeah, and watching that Eagles game last night, they don't have a defense. Like the Packers, who had struggled all year, were putting up major points, major yards on them. So it just, I don't feel scared of them. I like their run game. Like obviously they are very potent there, but I think the 49ers are well equipped to stop the run. So okay, well then what? Then you're going to put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands. Like, not to say he's not a good quarterback, because he is, but I feel like the defense is just so well rounded with run stoppers, and the outside looks a hell of a lot better. You know what I mean? The corners, the safeties, the secondary looks just this year. It's just been a big step up. It's really helped out. And the rest of the schedule, so if you look at it, Dolphins this week, Bucks, then pivotal game against the Seahawks, pivotal game against the Commanders, then you're finishing off with 2 easy wins against the Raiders and the Cardinals. Cardinals are already checked out. I'm going to go ahead and say it. They probably checked out for the season.
Yeah, they're done. And like all of those teams, I think are winnable games.
Yeah.
And so
I think the biggest one is, that Commanders game is going to be the Commanders, and obviously the Seattle Seahawks are going to be the 2 biggest games of the rest of the season moving forward.
And so I'm already saying, like, we can assume that we're going to make playoffs.
Yep.
Going in, none of these teams really scare me. The team that might scare me the most, which I never give credit to because in playoff time, this team always like doesn't do well or doesn't look great. But the Cowboys are a team that's starting to like climb my radar of, okay, is this potentially the best team in the NFC? Like Micah Parsons is going off. The offense is rolling. When you have Tony Pollard, like give him more carries. Like he's better than Zeke. CeeDee Lamb.
Zeke looked good though. Zeke looked good in that Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, but I just think Tony Pollard is so much more dynamic. He can do everything. And so you know what, they do have a good tandem back there, but it is like I feel like either guy should be carrying the load. It doesn't feel like a true duo to me.
Yeah. And that's a team that I've kind of been on throughout this entire year. And I told you this, we previously had this conversation. They're a team that's super well rounded. Their defense looks good. They have playmakers on every single level of that defense. The offense is kind of lights out as far as who is stopping CD Lamb? You know what I mean? He looks like on a whole nother planet. He looks good this year. Zeke and Tony Pollard are just a really good tandem. I like their tight end. I think that they have if they make it depends on where they fall in the rankings as far as what matchup they get. But if they get a serviceable matchup and they get home field advantage, that's going to be a tough team.
Yeah, and like comparing their offense and now looking at the 49ers offense, we just won this game. They were, the players retired from Mexico City. We put up 13 points. I would have loved to see more points on the board. I know people were saying, oh, well, there was a bad holding call when Elijah Mitchell scored. There's a couple misses here and there. Is our offense for real? And is Jimmy G for real? Now we've seen him consistently not throw the interceptions.
Going on 5 weeks, not an interception. Let's go, baby. Yeah, I think this is 100% real. I feel like now that they're kind of getting into a rhythm, he's letting Jimmy just kind of do Jimmy throws and actually go above and beyond that. He is throwing a little bit more deeper routes than he would previously, which is actually opening up the rest of the offense like Kyle Shanahan wanted. So I feel good about it. I think that, again, if you have a solid run game like the 49ers do, it makes it really tough on the opponent to do anything else but focus in on that run. And if Jimmy is just, I won't like undercut him and say he's just serviceable. I will say if he has been above average, then we're gonna win the Super Bowl this year, dude. It looks like it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, when I first came out of that game, I was just like, I'm kind of disappointed in our offense. We should have put up more points. It shouldn't have been that close. Our defense really won it for us. But like going back and thinking about the game, I really like what I saw from Jimmy G. I really like what I saw from Kyle. He got so many guys involved in that game, especially what we've been saying for weeks. Get Juwan Jennings the ball. Shout out to our diamond pick of the week. We hit, guys. We are up so
Like and
much money.
subscribe. Hit
Go
the
and subscribe
notification bell.
Subscribe to the channel. On Saturdays, we drop our diamond pick of the week, the best 49ers bets. We bet on Juwan Jennings with the over. We landed that. So shout out to Juwan Jennings. We got to get him on the show, maybe
Dude,
after
I'll
the
push
season.
for it.
He's pretty busy guy. We'll see. But we spread the ball to so many people, and it kept the offense fresh. It kept the defense guessing. It's going to be tough now with those running back injuries to really sustain the type of offense we did have in that Saints game.
Yeah, I think too. The red zone has been a problem. It's been a problem zone for Kyle Shanahan this year. Just not really creative, not really executing well in the red zone, which is kind of weird for this with this type of team. But they just haven't. They need to be better there if they're going to make a really strong push. I think again, there's just so much talent there that just a quick little quick dives. Let's get it out to Kittle. Let's go screen to Debo. Like just something that you can do, or just add a new wrinkle to the offense. Let's go ahead and get TDP out there since Elijah Mitchell is going to be out for a bit, but we need to do something in that red zone. But the rest of the field from 20 to 20, it looks good. I like it.
And that's why I'm not so worried, is that's where we were so worried before, is that 20 to 20 yard range. Like, how are we moving this ball? We're not moving it at all. Like it was a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of stale play calling. And now that we're mixing it up so much, like Ayuk is eating downfield. Debo's back in the backfield running the ball. McCaffrey's catching the ball at receiver everywhere. Kittle gets a couple plays here and there. But why I'm not worried about the red zone, we targeted Juwan Jennings a few times down there, and he's a big guy. He's a big red zone target. Brandon
Yeah.
Ayuk he could get open. He could find a crease. And let's start to give like Jordan Mason and TDP some of these red zone carries. Because these are power backs and they could turn nothing into something.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this progresses throughout the season. Obviously, they are going to have to turn to some of these other guys, but let's see what they can make out of it. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. You don't get dropped into teams as a rookie where your plays actually mean something very often. So I really hope that they seize this opportunity and they make the most of it.
Yeah, I mean it's time we just give Jordan Mason 15 carries and see what he does. Because the hype has been building. The fans have been calling it for it since training camp. And now that we're banged up there, like we're gonna need to have him shoulder some of the load to get us through the rest of the season with CMC dealing with the knee injury. Elijah Mitchell's out for 6 to 8 weeks, they said. He'll be back for the playoffs. But we need some of these young guys to like eat some of these carries. Like it's like when you're getting blown out in a baseball game, you just need some of those pitchers to like pitch 4 innings, even though you're getting blown out. Like we got to eat some of these innings because we're not going to run through our whole stable.
Yeah, and we can't have Christian McCaffrey shoulder the entire load. I don't think that's what he signed on for, and I don't think that's what he deserves because look at the mileage he's put on in Carolina. We can't have him have that type of workload and then expect him to play lights out in the playoffs. It just doesn't make any sense. So we need someone else to get into the mix, and whether they feel comfortable rolling with TDP and Jordan Mason, or if they bring back Tevin Coleman, which I think would be a good get because we know he's effective. But they need someone to eat carries. They need someone to help out Christian McCaffrey because he is realistically, if Kyle wanted, he could run the entire game through Christian McCaffrey and the offense would look great. But he just doesn't deserve that type of punishment on his bad body, especially if we're going to make a deep playoff run. He needs help.
Like let's do that game in the NFC Championship game, like in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Like I don't care, give McCaffrey 50 touches in the Super Bowl, but not like week 13, you know?
Yeah, not against the Dolphins, not against the Bucks. Like, let's get, some other people involved. Let's still keep Christian, to where he feels good heading into the playoffs, where he feels good heading into the championship game. And ultimately, when he becomes Super Bowl MVP, like I called it, it is what it is.
We got to look up those odds and
Oh, I'll look it up after. But yeah, I'm calling it. I'm saying 49ers win the Super Bowl, Christian McCaffrey, MVP. You heard it here first.
you heard it first. We'll probably touch back on the numbers there in the diamond pick once it comes Super Bowl week. But I know we're talking about injuries in the offense. We've been banged up in the secondary. The Niners signed Janoris Jenkins, Jackrabbit. He's on the practice squad right now, assuming getting him prepped to come up. How you feeling about that signing? Do you think he's gonna play, or is this kind of like a depth piece?
I feel like it's more of a depth piece. But Janoris Jenkins is someone who's been there, done that. He's been on teams that actually had deep playoff runs. So he's been there, done that. He's not one of those guys who's, if you've been in the league this long, you don't back down on anyone. So I'd feel comfortable with him rolling out there and going against some slot receivers, but I don't think it'll get to that point. We'll have to see what happens, but I would feel good about him as far as a depth piece.
I really like him being just a safety valve right there, like just in case. Because at the end of the Saints game, I was kind of thinking like, okay, this isn't a game where we're like afraid to lose anymore. This is a game where like, how many people are gonna get hurt? Like, can we get out of this game? Because Debo was like popping in and out of the game the whole time with his hamstring, and then Elijah went down, and then McCaffrey's out, and then you had like guys on the defense getting dinged up just like here and there, and you're just kind of holding your breath. Like, I hope we could just like hit zeros on the clock and get home, you know?
Yeah, and even Twitter doctors were saying Jimmy's leg almost fell off. It was crazy out there. It was a war zone. It was that scene in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. Let's look forward to this Dolphins game now.
Yeah.
A lot. Well, obviously, former 49ers coach. Mike McDaniel is over there, the head coach. And he took a lot of former 49ers players with him. And not just like in the Raiders way where, the players aren't as good anymore and the 49ers let them walk and then the Raiders pick them up and they do bad for a season. Not in that way. In the way of like, these guys just were part of this roster 1, maybe 2 years ago. And they were like integral parts. So there's actually a lot of like Twitter jawing back and forth.
Yeah, I think it does kind of get started with the Raheem Mostert. This is a clickbait headline. Do you have what he said? You know what he said?
Uh,
Okay, so he kind of bashed on the organization as a whole
yeah.
and Jimmy Garoppolo. So he said that when he suffered his knee injury in week 1, the 49ers felt that he could miss 8 weeks. Instead, he opted to have season-ending surgery, and that pissed off the 49ers. Said, it isn't right, and it's up to the players to step up and say, hey, this isn't right. I don't think this is in my best interest. Sometimes you don't get that with players, but for me, that was my case. I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew exactly how I'd handle this situation. I knew exactly coming off of the rehab what I would need to get back into the field. I moved on from the situation, and I have this opportunity to see them again.
And I also have a
So
different
basically
article
saying,
here. I have a
yeah,
different article here from NBC Sports with some quotes from Mostert saying, he said, we have better talent here when he's talking about the Dolphins. It's going to get spooky. And then he also said, we have a quarterback who can actually sling it. And then that's when the follow-up tweet by Mostert was saying, what clickbait? Not once did I dog Jimmy G in my interview. Did I praise our QB1? Hell yeah, I did. But I also threw out compliments to my former quarterback. But hey, let's leave that part out. So, I mean, those taken out of context, this sounds like some pretty bad shots at Jimmy G. And
I mean, but like one, I would agree
then
with Raheem as far as like handling his own injury the way he wants to. And yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're the 49ers, you're going to be pissed. So I kind of side with him on that front. But as far as the taking shots at Jimmy G, Jimmy G's looking good, man.
it's Himmy Guap, bro. He's that guy. I retire my Jimmy hater fan club. I'm done. That's over. That era is over. I'm in the Jimmy lover fan club now.
Dang, what a switch,
I
dude.
have converted. I have converted. I've been saved by Himmy Guap. He is him.
Dang.
I think the Jeff Wilson quotes aren't that bad. There's just like, at the end of the day, you gotta feed your family, blah blah blah, business decision. But Mostert there's a lot of quotes. He said, I've got to turn up. Former employers, they got to come see about me. Me and Hefe are going to go crazy. So,
I think it's just what it comes down to is these teams are so familiar. When there's familiar on both sides, I think it can do one of two things. I think it could be like a fun, like, oh, hey, yeah. But when both sides are ultra competitive, which we know the 49ers are, and then we know that just based off the head coach, he would love to shove it down Kyle's throat just to be like, hey, I'm not your like mentee anymore. I'm the mentor. Like, let me put you on game real quick. I'm gonna win this division. I'm gonna win a playoff game before anyone else. Like, I think that with these ultra competitive, it's now become a like 49ers West Coast, 49ers East Coast rivalry. Like that's that type of feel to it because these guys, no one wants to see anybody eat their lunch. And they don't want to get credit for, hey, like, or give up credit of like, hey, you're doing the right thing. Like you guys are actually winning this deal, especially with the looming trade of the Trey Lance 3 first-round picks, and look at what they've turned it into. You know what I mean? the 49ers would love to go that down and shove it down their throat and be like, hey, we made the right pick despite our guy Trey Lance being hurt. We made the right pick for us. And the Dolphins would like to turn around and be like, hey, you guys fucked up and let's like take your arm and beat you over the head with it, you know?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like big brother, little brother situation here. Like the 49ers, I don't think they can lose this game and like save face. They're
No.
obviously Kyle's built this a lot longer than McDaniel. He has
Yep.
all his players in place. Like there's no reason for Kyle to like get shown out against. Like McDaniel can't out scheme him in this game and like look better. Especially like Dolphins aren't even this like dominant team yet. Like they're not the Bills or the Chiefs. Like they're still on the come up. And if this is a game where Kyle gets dominated, it's really gonna be like, what are we doing here, guys? Like these guys are doing what we do and they're doing it way better.
Yeah. Especially with 49er fans this past offseason. I know I was shitting on Tua. I know you were shitting on Tua. Like just in general, like around 49ers Twitter, everyone was shitting on Tua. And for McDaniel to then take Tua to this next level that he's been looking, hey, you got to give him props, but we don't want to see him get beat. Like, you know what I mean? We don't want to see him beat the 49ers. Can't have it.
Former 49ers receiver Trent Sherfield put on a picture of him on Instagram, said, in his caption said, tell them if it's smoke with us, don't send the ones they love. And 49ers players are taking that like, all right, we're gonna see what it's really about. Like, I think this is definitely very quickly went from a friendly matchup with my friends to I kind of fucking hate these guys. Like they think that they're better than us and they're not. Like the 49ers players, I think feel like we're obviously better than you and you guys have no room to talk, but yet you're coming with all this smoke.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of bulletin board material this week. And I think it turns into like, I don't know if you remember Trent Williams talking about it. They had talked about like, oh, when he came over here, he knew some of the Rams and he felt like, oh, yeah, I get to talk to them and see them now twice a year. And now he's like, I fucking hate these guys. Like, I can't stand them. I think that's just kind of what it is. Like, when you are just this championship level competitor, anyone who is trying to take that win from you, it gets personal. And so, like, we're seeing that right now.
And I definitely could see like the difference between like a Jets team meeting with this 49ers team and the Dolphins, where I think Robert Saleh would be like, I think different tactics. Like maybe he'd be like, guys, we're the underdog. Like, let's do this. Where McDaniel is, I feel like installing this mindset in them. Where like, we're better than them. Like we're on their level, if not above them. And he knows Kyle so well that he's like pointing out things in the film room like, hey, these guys aren't that good here. They're not that like he's giving them this attitude of like, fuck these guys. Like we're going to beat them. Instead of the,
Yeah.
oh, well, we're going to try our hardest and see if we could beat the big guy, you know?
Yeah, no. And the backfield is very familiar. They're not scared of Kyle. Look at who their number one receiver is, Tyreek Hill. He's not afraid of the 49ers. Bradley Chubb, he's seen a lot of the 49ers. Like, these are guys who are not afraid to just go out there and scrap. So it's going to be an exciting game. I really hope the 49ers pull it out, but I'm excited to actually see the line on this. Like when we hit that diamond pick of the week.
I think it opened Niners favored 3.5. If I'm not incorrect there, which is interesting, interesting. We're
I would
favored
take
in that.
I would take
It's
that.
pretty good. Check out on Saturday what we put on the diamond pick. We're rolling right now in the money, so we got a lot to put on this pick this week. And I will say too, the left tackle for the Dolphins is out. So Nick Bosa, he might have a game.
It's so crazy, like the chase for the like who's leading sacks. Matthew Judon looks crazy. Micah Parsons is lights out. And Bosa it looks like his best year. He just like, it's just so confident, dude. So I'm excited to see at the end of the year who's leading that race.
Yeah. Anything else for this game?
No.
I think it's gonna be fireworks, man. Like I think it's two different mindsets of like the Dolphins are kind of saying like, hey, people are counting us out. We're actually better than them. We're above this. And then the Niners are kind of like, hey, this is our pedigree. Like we're obviously better than them. We're supposed to win this game. And it's just like
Yeah.
the brotherhood is definitely battling against each other at this point. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Oh, I'm pumped. I'm excited for it.
All right, guys, that's all we got this week. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at what is it? Deep Dig Pod.
Yeah, something like that.
At the Deep Dig Pod. We want to hear from you guys. Click on our polls, vote on them, all that good stuff. See ya.
Take it easy.
Hit me guap. Hit me guap.